Happy New Year 2024. How are you? Probably freaking out about the digital SAT if you're anything like most of the people who reach out to me. Totally fair. I've got a few horror stories, which everybody's asking for, and a couple of things that you can just kind of keep in your mind to make sure that you're ready for the digital SAT. If you're not familiar with what's changing, in 2024, the College Board is going to go digital. So basically, instead of the pencil and paper test that we've had basically since the inception in 1902, we're now exclusively digital. You're still going to have to go to a testing center, and you're still going to have to sit down and take the test at the testing center. You can either bring your own laptop or you can request a laptop. More about requesting a laptop later. There's still two sections, verbal and math. The reading and writing sections have been smushed together into a single verbal section, but you can still see the outlines of what's reading and what's writing. The test is going to be adaptive, which means it gets harder. The first section that you take is going to be the same for everybody, the same difficulty for everybody. And then if you score at a certain level, then you unlock, sort of like in a video game, you unlock the hard section. So everybody's trying to figure out what they could do to get that score, right? So what are some of the horror stories that we've heard? First of all, they're defining a working device as something that holds charge for 3 hours. When I was sitting with the College Board lady, I was like, my laptop doesn't hold power for 3 hours. And she was like, well, I guess you don't have a workable device then. I was like, awkward. I don't know how I'm running an organization. Anyway, that's like a piece of information that you may have not fully internalized. And I would say if you need a device, request one. If you think you might need a device, request one. Just better to be safe than sorry. Be careful. So then I said, okay, what happens if a device locks up? And I knew that I had a student who had this problem. I was curious what the College Board person was going to say. So he said, well, in every school, they have to have a tech coordinator. They should have a tech room on the day of testing. So if a student's device locks up, they get sent to a triage space and the device gets restarted and the student can pick back up. Well, my student was not able to have her device restarted and was not able to pick back up. She was more than 3/4 of the way through the test. Like she had done the first 3 modules and she was on her last module. So think of how much effort and energy she had expended. And then the thing locked up and they were not able to restart it. So yes, she had to go back and take the thing all over again. And I just want you to recognize that when you have spent all this time prepping and put all of your energy into something, and then you have to redo it from zero, there's a really big difference between taking 2 hours of a test and taking 4 hours of a test and how well you're going to score at the end of that 4 hours, right? I said, what if a student doesn't have their own device and hasn't requested one ahead of time? You can't test. I said, what if you bring a laptop and then request one as a backup? She was like, no, you can't do that. You have to only request one. So better to be safe than sorry. Definitely request a device from the College Board. Okay, so what happens if your device dies? Some schools are providing power strips, so a place to plug in. Other schools are not. And when I was talking to other people at NACAC, which is a kind of a conference for people who help kids get into college, some of the people who were there who had done the testing at their school already, they were like, well, we went out and bought power strips because we were like, we're not taking any chances. And I was like, that's very smart. Does the College Board make you do that? She was like, no. I was like, can I expect that my students will be testing at schools where that's happened? She was like, no. So I asked the College Board lady and she was like, it'd be nice if the schools go out and buy power strips, but we can't make them do that. And I was like, okay, how can my student know if they're going to test at a place with power strips? And she was like, well, you can just ask the SAT test coordinator. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, at your school. And I was like, my student isn't testing at their own school. She was like, oh, call the number in the admissions ticket. I was like, have you ever called that number and asked a question related to the SAT? Okay. I just tell my kids, make sure that you have a laptop that can hold power for 3 hours. Bring your charger. Hope for the best. And if you get into the room, if they don't assign you a seat, if they let you pick your own seat, which is different at different schools, find a power outlet, sit near the power outlet. I am what my mother would call belt and suspenders, just very careful. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to sit near the power outlet because who knows what's going to happen, right? So one of my kids knew that she might have an issue, brought a power cord for her laptop, didn't have a place to plug in. Yes, the laptop died. No, she was not able to continue testing. So yeah, that's real. So you remember the tech room that they said that every school now has to have? In the tech room, they might have some backup devices. I was like, that's a lot of mice. She was like, yeah, well, if you're testing at a school in a well-resourced district, you'll probably be fine because they'll probably have all those backups. If you are not sure about anything, request a device from the College Board because that makes it their problem and they will take care of it. Up to this point, when you register late, so let's say you register late for the August test, you sign up August 9th, you can still get into the August test. Now, however, if you need a device, you can't do late registration. So depending on which way you're signing up and whether it's school day SAT or the Saturday SAT, it will take between 30 and 60 days to request a device. SAT late registration, it's too late. You can't request a device. So basically, if you need a laptop, you can't do late registration. Let's talk about score report changes. So the scoring stays the same. It's still 2 sections. It's still out of 1,600, but there's no more QAS, no more question and answer service. So you will not know which questions you got right and wrong, and you won't know which questions are on your test. That's because they're now reusing questions. There's also no more raw to scaled score conversion tables, and questions now count different numbers of points. That's called weighted differently. So in the past, every question was the same number of points. Section 3 would go from 1 to 15. Number 1 was easy, number 15 was hard. And so I would tell my kids, if you are struggling, make sure you get numbers 1 through 7 right, because they count the same as numbers 8 through 15. Now, they don't count the same, so now it's more important to get the hard stuff right. There will be no more section 5, no more experimental section. There will be 2 questions per module that are unscored, and you won't know which ones they are. Practice tests. There's currently 4 practice tests available, and the SAT says that they're going to release 3 new practice tests per year, but we don't know when. I asked her, she said check back in spring 2024. I was like, okay. So right now there's only 4 tests that are available that give us a sense of what we can expect for the new SAT. There's also no tests on Khan Academy, which previously has been a source of tests. And there's no question of the day app. The amount of information we have is quite limited on the new SAT. That's scary. But we've been through these changes before. The SAT did the redesign in 2004, then they did the redesign in 2016. Now they're doing another redesign in 2024. I've been there for all of them. So remember, familiarity is the best predictor of success on the SAT. The more you practice, the more you prep, the more you know. And so yes, all of these changes are really overwhelming, but knowing that those things are going to happen makes us ready. So as long as you know what to expect, you can be ready for it. And remember, you are not any less ready than all of the other kids all over America and the world that are now taking this new test. So you're not at any greater disadvantage than anybody else. And realistically, schools are going to be a little bit chiller with thinking about SAT scores because this is the first year. Whenever it's the first year of a new test, the schools are a little bit chiller about the scores. There are a lot of ways in which it's easier because the passages are a lot shorter. So the reading is going to be easier and faster. It's going to feel less overwhelming. And so those things are good. Basically, the big takeaways, make sure that you sign up in plenty of time, know what you can expect on the test in terms of content, and be ready for anything in terms of tech failures. Belt and suspenders. Request everything from the College Board, make it their problem. Know the test extremely well, walk in super confident, knowing that you have all the information that's available.